hang on for the ride. I'm delighted you're here, and I'm going to begin. So the first thing I want to tell you is I make a lot of art. So this is some of my watercolors.
Rivet, rivet.
So I showed you the watercolors because that's one part of my art. The part that I'm showing you today is the lettering part of me. And I hope that what you see here inspires you to try this. So this hand is called calligraphy. Calligraphy is created by using markers. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. First, I'm going to show you a couple of pieces. Because laughter is the fireworks of the soul, isn't it? Michelangelo said this, I'm still learning. And if Michelangelo was still learning, we got lots of time. So this is primarily, as I said, it's not instructional today. Today what I'm doing is a sort of a meditation in motion. We're going to experience lettering in the act of creation. This is a Tombow dual brush marker. This is what I use to make my strokes in calligraphy. The first word I'm going to illuminate is the word grace. This was a request. Here we go.
All right. Hang up and call me back.
Someone is not muted. If you can please mute yourself.
Okay.
Okay, we still have someone who is not muted. Can anyone see who that may be? Because I'm working on putting shadows. That pesky autofocus. I knew it was going to drive me crazy. And it totally is. I'll learn from this experience what I can use to improve. So there you have it. Grace. My next word I'm going to illuminate, another request, is Stephen. A fear all calligraphers have is that they'll spell the word wrong. Very common. So I wonder if you're guessing how these letters are formed. Do you notice that I use pressure? When I push down on the marker, I get a thick line because I'm using pressure. So there's so many things you can do with a letter. So here I have a letter, but I can extend the letter any way I want. I use a lot of dots because I think they're whimsical. You guys know me with whimsy. So, you see how that can go. Oh, I forgot highlights. Highlights. All the materials I'm using will be listed at the end and are easy to purchase. So what Calligraphy does is it uses the elements that the graffiti artists use, which are highlights
This way does
and
it.
shadows and shading. So that's another fast demo.
I thought it would turn. It doesn't.
Okay, whoever is not muted, please mute yourself. And my final word in calligraphy today is the word peace.
The final word.
So did you see how I pulled down, I got that thick line? So Florence, if you can try to mute yourself, that would be great. Light pressure, hard pressure,
How do I
light,
mute one?
hard, light, hard, light. This is a shade darker. I'm using 2 greens.
Unable to access camera. For some
And
reason
though
it
I'm
says-
using a dot and a line,
Of course.
you can make any shapes you'd like. So Florence, were you able to mute?
No, I don't know how, Helen. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. So Florence, if someone who is a tech person could help Florence, if you can unmute yourself and tell her what to do, please.
I'm good.
You figured it out?
I did. Thank you. I'm so sorry.
No, guys, it's all a learning curve for us. Please do not worry. I'm delighted you figured it out, and I'm delighted you're here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, Helen.
You're very welcome. Enjoy the ride.
Oh, thanks.
So if you joined late, I apologize for the autofocus. Driving me crazy too. So I want to demonstrate something else you can do. So you see I throw dots off of my letters. There's shadows, there's shading, there's highlights with the white gel pen. And again, you can't do any of this wrong. Once you have the foundation of your letters down, you can do whatever you like on top of them. It's learning the basics of calligraphy, though. You know, it's the challenge. But I've never had a student, either child or adult, that I couldn't teach this, because it's actually a pretty technical pursuit. It just looks really impressive, right? So, yeah. So the other thing you can use, this is called a micron. It is waterproof. I use this on a lot of my watercolors. And these can give us dangles. Dangles are lines that hang down from the letters, just straight down line. Like gravity's just pulling it straight down. And then from there, oh yeah, more dots. So many dots. Dots are my life. Curls, hearts, color. You see, it starts fancying it up. So I'm going to add some color. Yeah, I'm going for pink. And you see how you can bring that to life? In addition, you can go right over these lines and make curly Q dots. I know my work is undoubtedly feminine. I'm sorry, guys, but you can guy it up in some way. So there you go. Peace. I wish this all for all of you. So now I'm going to move on to copper plate calligraphy. Copper plate calligraphy is this. This is calligraphity. What they have in common, they're both cursive hands. If you start using the Tombow markers, those brush markers that I use to learn how to do calligraphity, it's a great gateway to learn how to do this. You may recognize this hand from, well, from our ancestors. This is how we all first wrote, right? And we wrote with, whoops, with a feather or a quill. Shakespeare, think of it, guys. Shakespeare used this. So look at how elegant it looks, because we're using a different writing instrument. You can use a quill, but we now have this instrument. This is called an oblique pen holder. And this nib here is called a Nico G. It's a Nico G steel nib pointed pen. I'll tell you where to get all of this stuff. And if you live locally, right here in Reeby's, you can get all this stuff. But this works on the same pressure as the marker does, the same principle as the marker does, which is pressure. So you can see this has a single line, and this comes out to the side. It's called an oblique pen holder because it comes to the side so that when you put your pen down, it's already on an angle. So all your letter forms get put on the correct slant right away. I'm going to demonstrate this for you now also. But here's a couple more pieces. So I like to, you know, use my watercolors with my calligraphy. So you can see I've added some calligraphy to this piece. These are all just copies. Here's our Kermit the Frog quote. Don't make me sing, but someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. So I like to, again, add lettering to my artwork. And you may want to also, or you may already. We call it the power of the pen because when letters are well crafted, they can really bring feelings in us of awe and inspiration. So let me demonstrate copper plate for you. You can see my pencil lines here. I'm going to tip my paper. I'm going to show you the ink I use. This little holder has got the cutest name. It's called a Dinky Dip. It really is. It's called a Dinky Dip. Isn't that cute? And then the ink colors I put in here come from bottles. And as you can see from the bottle, you can't dip this in. It won't fit in because of the oblique pen holder. But it's got a little suction cup. You open it up, you unsuction it, and you dip it in, you pour it in here, and this is how you get your pen to fit inside. So again, I got some requests for illuminating some words. Actually, I'm going to do a person's name first, because most of the time that you see copperplate calligraphy, you're seeing invitations, right? So this is for my friend.
Making me cry, Helen.
I was hoping this was going to make you feel good.
It does.
I love you.
I love you too.
Okay, so that was from Michelle. She's a brilliant artist. We're lucky to have her in our Firefly community.
I had to
Okay.
get off mute because Michelle is a brilliant artist.
Yeah, see? You hear that, Michelle? Everyone's singing your praises. So now here are some quotations people sent in to me. And so you can see what it'll look like in a long line. A lovely sentiment. Oh, that focusy thing is driving me nuts. There we go. So I'll demonstrate again another name of someone I saw pop on. This is what a wedding invitation may look like. I do the double loop a lot because I love it. Here's an ampersand. So when people first start lettering, they so desperately want to do this, the flourishing. And that takes time. And I teach about the aesthetics of the movement of your arm to make that, because this part is so tiny and tight, and this part has to be so loose. But once, you're welcome, Lear, but once you understand how to use this pen, the power is with you. Okay, so let me do another. Let me see. I was actually going to switch ink colors, but I've lost my tissue. Ah! Okay, I found one. Okay, so to switch ink colors, you should, of course, clean your nib, which I'm doing poorly. Bad teacher. But let's see what the other colors look like. So let's just do a word. Oh yeah, that's nice. So this is a thicker ink. You probably can't see it there. It kind of fades out a bit. So it comes on kind of almost raised. I don't know if you can see that. If you were here in person, all right, let's try another color. I have never used this before, this gold ink. I'm gonna try it. It's a liquid acrylic. It should be golden shimmery. Oh, it's very thick. Oh wow, it's really thick. It's hard for it to come out and it's gonna blob. I guess I should have practiced using this first. Yeah, this is too thick to come out easily. I really have to press hard. Okay, so never mind, we're not gonna use the gold. Let's try blue. So here's blue. Let me rinse this.
Helen,
Yeah,
quick question. Can you do anything with that gold? Can you thin it out to use it?
yes, but please hold your questions to the end. So you see the blue, this blue is by a company called Daller and Rowney, FW. It's an acrylic ink also, but it's nice and thin. And so it's coming through my pen so lovely. And the ink that you use does matter. Did you see the pressure, guys? Light pressure gives me a thin line. Hard pressure gives me a thick line. That's the entire principle of a pointed pen nib or a brush marker for a cursive hand.
I read John. I read John.
Okay, someone's not muted. Ta-da! This is copper plate. A great hand to learn. Can be a challenge when we first start because you have to learn how to hold the pen, how to grip it, how to put the nib in so it stays on the right angle, but it's not anything you can't conquer. And if you long to make letters like this, you can do it. So now I'm going to move us on to our final writing instrument today, which is the Pilot Parallel Pen. So the Pilot Parallel Pen, let's see if we can get this to focus. Come on. Come on, little focusy people. Okay. The Pilot Parallel Pen does not use pressure. This is called a broad edge nib. See how it's on a slant there? Again, maybe when you were growing up, for a holiday, you asked for some sort of calligraphy kit, and this is usually, the broad edge pen is usually the thing that people start with. And we know the hands are called italic, foundational, Gothic, or Old English, which is sort of like the New York Times. That looks like that's done in that calligraphic hand. So we don't need to use pressure to get thick and thin lines. We have to use pen angle. We have to keep our pen at the same angle. So I'll demonstrate some of that for you, and I think you'll be amazed at what this pen can do. So I'll read the quote. Here's your calligraphy done with the brush marker, and this is done with the Pilot Parallel Pen. It says, nobody will ever love you as much as an artist can. On your worst days, they'll find poetry in the knots of your hair. That's because us artists, we just believe in beauty, I suppose. So, the Pilot Parallel Pen. I have 4 of them. I actually have more because I'm a calligraphy teacher. I'm allowed to have a lot, but I'm in love with them. I even want to run away with them. So the Pilot Parallel Pen in pink. See, I put a little Sharpie in pink. I have it in blue. I have it in purple, and I have it in yellow. And I'll show you why. And then you'll be like, I need to get all of those too. So the way that this works, the pen works, is it's got the broad edge nib. I'm going to teach you about the angle there. But it's got cartridges. So this Pilot Parallel Pen has pink in it. This one has yellow. I put them in, and you can take them out and clean them. But what this can do is it can combine with other colors. Well, here, I'll show you. So if this is pink, so I'll just put a P here. So if you notice, I kept that on an angle. I don't know if you could see it. Maybe my hand was over it. But here's a P for pink. And here is a Y for yellow. But if I take these pens and I kiss them together, so here, I'll move this over here. Here's the yellow. Here's the pink. I just tap just like that, and look what happens. Remember, this was yellow. Look at it now. Isn't that beautiful, the ombre effect? And then it bleeds out. Fascinating, right? Just one of the things it can do. I'll show you another thing it can do. So here's my blue Pilot Parallel Pen, but it has a secret. most of the time, when you buy a nib with a Pilot Parallel pen, it's completely straight across. If you notice here, oh, dagnabbit, you auto zoom you. There's a little cut there. Can you see that little cut? I didn't do that. This is called a custom scroll cut. And this is made by a company in Tennessee called Paper and Ink Arts. And what they do is they put that cut there so that we can make our letters look like this. Isn't that cool? And then I tip it on its side and I get a monoline. This is so state of the art. Do you see why I'm in love? And why you're probably falling in love too. At all times, I'm keeping this on the same angle. Watch. See, this angle staying the same, staying the same. Watch. Whoop! Staying the same, staying the same. So the same principle goes here as it does with the other calligraphic hands I was showing you. You can extend a letter. I know I add a lot of curls. So people seem to like them, so I think it's okay. Curls and dots. Lots and lots of dots. It's a contemplative and meditative thing to make letters and embellish them. I always say there's no right or wrong way to do this part. There's no right or wrong way because it's just up to your imagination where you want to put a bunch of dots. If you can draw a dot, you can draw curly dots, right? And then you can add little dots. You know, guys, my neighbor is blow drying his lawn or something. He's got like lawn equipment going. I don't know if you can hear it. I apologize if you can. It was another thing I really didn't think about when doing my demo, that, you know, my neighbors may be noisy. But we're getting through, right? We're tolerating it. Anyway, so this is the Pilot Parallel pen. So the last thing, this is really the last thing that I was going to show you because I didn't want to exhaust you, but I do want to show you the other instruments that I can demo for you, maybe later if you want. There's the feather. This is called a water brush. There's the Tombow Furunosuke marker. And then there's the fork. So the reason the spoon is here is because you can see by the leftover residue. I promise you, my family does not eat off the spoon. You put ink here, you tap your fork in the ink, and then you make letters. You want to see it? Yes? No? We'll take a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, it's happening.
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you, beauties. Oh, Lear Leary was so polite. He said, yes, please. Thank you, Lear Leary. Okay, so I am going to use the liquid acrylic. Yes, you were. And I'm just putting it in the spoon. Okay, so there, it looks sort of like medicine or something. All right, I'm not really good at this, but I put it up on my Instagram account and I got 31,000 views. I was like, what? It wasn't even good. But I guess it's because this is a new thing people are interested in trying, and whether it's good or bad, they're gonna take it. So you dip it in like this. See the ink there on the fork? I know, autofocus. And here's what you do. Okay, so I'm not getting a full line there. Let me try again. I'm not getting my fourth line. So I'm going to draw it in. I lost that line. Isn't that cool?
Last video, but she is doing calligraphy with a fork and spoon now.
All right, I'm going to try writing a word. God help me. Word. Let's try, well, it's spring. Let's try bloom. All right, that's a very fat little bee. Yeah, I guess the letters, they come out like wide and chubby. All right, I'm totally out of space. Can I fit that M? I seriously doubt it. Ooh. All right, it's a mess, but it's kind of fun, right? And then what you can do, once this dries, you can color these in to give it a kind of stained glass look. You would color in all these pieces here. Again, you can go on my Instagram. I do some of this to entice people to learn how to do this themselves. So it's still pretty wet. It's kind of blurring it a bit. Well, you get the idea. Well, that's the presentation for today, guys. You can unmute yourselves. I'm going to just, if you want to take a screenshot, here are, let me move my green ink, where you can purchase the materials. So if you're local here in New York and in the Huntington, Cold Spring Harbor, Northport area, Reeby's is a store on 110, and they discount all the supplies by 15% if you say you're my student. And although I'm not teaching you, you can just say you're my student. He's a lovely guy. His name is Brian. You know, they're a small business. They're struggling. They just are trying to stay open. And he has everything we talked about. So the Tombow dual brush markers, the white gel pens, the black microns. Again, you can go to Michael's Arts and Crafts, also online or here in Huntington, or you can call Brian at Reeby's, and there's his phone number. I'll keep this still so you can screenshot it if you want. He also has a ton of these Pilot parallel pens, the ones that, you know, I'm in love with. And then he also has the pointed pen supplies, the oblique pen holders. This is called a Nico G nib, guys. This is state of the art. This is steel. It's incredible, incredible nib. So I'll leave you with that for a second to take a picture. And then I'm going to swing my camera around and you can see me.
Helen, I went to
Yes.
Reeby's website and it says they're closed.
Yes, that's why this is his cell phone. This is Brian's cell phone. Brian lives like in the house behind the store. And so just call him on his cell and he'll take care of you. He'll do curbside delivery for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And of course, you can always contact me if you have a problem. And then this is my Instagram account. I'm at Helen Inc. If you need the whole thing, it's www.instagram.com/Helen Inc. And here's my email. hmurdock@optonline.net. Shoot me a Facebook request. I'd be happy to.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I
Thank
Helen,
you
thank
so
you.
much, Helen.
You
you
feel my
so
hand,
much.
and I
Thank you,
have
Helen.
ancient old hands.
No, you don't.
I truly do. Even in high
Talented.
school, my friends would go, "Oh my God, your hands look so old," and I was like, "Well, they're artists' hands."
That's right.
Okay,
No,
so I'm
Helen.
here for your questions.
Helen, it's
Okay.
Michelle.
Hi,
I
Michelle.
wasn't able to mute, but I was quiet the whole time.
You were
And I
very
have to
quiet.
say, you have ruined all my other pens for me. I
This is
also
true.
wonder if the monks knew anything about it, especially the fork and spoon.
Yeah. Listen, the monks, I can tell you so much about what the monks were experiencing. Not that I was there, but what they had was time. And so they had their little quills and they worked it. They had silence, they had time. When they made mistakes, we look at the manuscripts. This is where illustrated letters came in, which I'd love to, I teach that as well in classes, but I'd love to show you that. When they make a mistake, they go, "Oops, let's draw an angel." They made an angel out of it, and that's where all our ornate stuff came from.
Can I ask a question, Helen?
Yes.
What type of pen do you use when you're writing on the rocks?
Oh, I
Oh,
didn't
good
show you
question.
the rocks. Do you guys want to see the rocks?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
It's gonna be my Christmas
That's the
present.
audience. So,
On rocks as well, period.
yeah, to do calligraphy, thanks, Mary. To do calligraphy on rocks, I use the Tombow Furunosuke marker. That's this.
Sorry,
This
I'm texting
is,
so much,
I am
period.
telling you, this is the most miraculous instrument
I will
ever
stop
made.
now, period.
This has the capability of doing what this does without having to dip it. It's all in here. But you need instruction because people get this and they're like, "Why isn't it working?" Because you have to have a teacher tell you that thick and thin lines are made using pressure. So when you put your hand on this marker, you can't just bear down on it like you do with a regular marker or pen. You have to learn about pulling your hand
That
back
was in your
to get
book,
light
Rock, this
pressure
is
for a
your
thin
initial
line
period.
and hard pressure for a thick line.
You came to the
Okay, so listen to me. I'm like, all right, you can go get it, but then call me and I'll talk you through how to use it.
Okay.
But that's what I use on my rocks.
Can you spell that? Say the name again. Furunosuke?
Tombow, Tombow, which is the name of the company.
Mhm.
They do also the Tombow dual brush markers.
I hope
The
everyone-
last word, the second word is Furunosuke. F-U-D-E-N, Furuno, Suki, S-U-K-E.
Thank you.
Can we see what the tip looks like on it?
Yeah, I have
Why
one of
what?
those things, but I
Can
don't
we
use
see
it
what
for
the tip
calligraphy.
looks like? Can you
Sorry,
open
so what
it?
looks like?
The tip of the marker, like,
Oh,
can
yeah.
you open it?
Yeah.
Helen, I have a question about a mechanical question.
Okay, but hang on. I just want to finish answering about the tip of the marker. This
Okay.
is why people go, "Well, it just looks like a marker." It's not. It's magic. The magic is right here in the tip. There's a piece of plastic in there. Let me do a demo. Let me do it. I know how to do this. This is, it gives you thick and thin lines based on the pressure. So I'm not going to tip this over again. I'm going to write it here and I'm going to show you I got thick and thin lines. I need a word.
Hope.
Hope. It does the exact same thing.
Uh-huh.
See, it gets thick and thin lines. It does the same thing that this does without dipping it in ink. So you can put this in your purse or your pocket. And you can, if you have a calligraphy, emergency, you have it.
Question about that, Helen.
What?
I have a question about that. It's Diana. How are you?
Hi, Diana. How are you?
I'm good. That pen is not waterproof.
No.
So do you put something over your rocks?
I tell people my rocks are indoor rocks
Okay.
and that do not put them outside.
Okay.
Helen,
Fair
can you
enough.
hear me?
I can hear you. Who's talking?
This is Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Hi. I make greeting cards.
Yes.
So I use a very small calligraphy. Do they come in widths? All of
Yes.
these pens?
So you're talking about the broad edge pens?
Any of them. I just need a very narrow because you
Yes.
only have a tiny little space.
Yes.
you know,
So you can see this is very large. This is
Right.
called a 6, and it shows it on the top of the cap.
Right.
6.0 millimeters. This is big. It's going to make big letter forms. But they
Right.
have them all the way down to 1.4. Teeny weeny ones.
Okay.
And Brian has them all at Reedy's if you're in the area.
Okay.
Again, you can also, get them online. But that's for a broad edge pen. For a pointed pen nib, that's it. It comes in this size. There are other pointed pen nibs you can play with, but you have the control with a pointed pen nib to make it very, very, very tiny or very large.
For the oblique, what do you do for a left-hander?
So for the oblique, for the left-hander, you just tip your paper the other way, but you still hold it the same, you still hold it, and then you come up a bit. You won't drag your hand through it. I teach lefty calligraphy.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome, Boyd.
Helen,
Yes.
which one of the pens, this is the mechanical question I was going to ask you, is most like the metal nib pens that have the cartridge that that you stick in the
Pilot
body?
parallel pens are most like, say again?
The old-fashioned calligraphy pens that you actually stick the nib in the tube of ink and then you screw it all together?
Yes,
the
so
rotary-
those are broad edge
rotary
pens.
piece, right?
That's what the Pilot parallel pen is.
Okay.
You can still get kits like that.
Yeah, I have them.
Yeah, definitely try them out. But what's great about what I was showing with the Pilot parallel pen,
That I'm very interested in.
yeah,
That
there's a
looks
scroll
great.
cut, which gave you the double line. Wasn't that like, oh my God?
Can you
And
tell us
then-
the name of the company again, where the scroll cut came from?
Paper and Ink Arts. They're in Tennessee.
Thank you.
Guys, if you become Facebook friends with me or you send me an email, I will put you on my list and I will send you everything we talked about today. That's what I do with my classes. I always say, don't take notes. Just give me your email. I'll send you everything we talked about today and where to get it. This is called a custom scroll cut. Custom because they're making it themselves. They must have like some guy that goes to the garage and goes,
So Helen, the pressure you use for the Pilot pen, is it less than the type of pen I'm talking about than a broad edge?
So the Pilot pen is a broad edge pen. You don't use pressure, you use pen angle.
Right.
The only time you use pressure to get a thick and thin line is with a pointed pen nib. That would be for this.
Yes.
The
That's the
oblique
type I'm
pen
talking
holder.
about, that you have to apply pressure to get the ink to flow.
Oh, to get the ink to flow?
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? That's the old standard calligraphy kit. You really do have to kind of put some pressure to keep the ink flowing.
Yes, you have to use pressure to keep it flowing, but what I was talking about in terms of pressure is to make thick and thin lines.
Okay.
It's a different thing. You have to put pressure down to get a thick line and light pressure to get a thin line.
Okay.
That's with this, or the marker. For a broad edge pen, yeah, you have to give it some business pressure as you pull along, but it's not going to open up. The nib is always going to stay stationary.
Right. Okay.
And you put it on a pen angle, and it will make the shapes. You know, in
So
my
those
classes,
Pilot,
I want to bring them back.
sorry,
the Pilot pens look like a joy.
they are such a joy, and they're so much fun to play with.
Are
And
they
you can
expensive?
get, like, look at this, guys. Look at all these colors you can get.
Are they expensive?
No, it's like, I think it's like $8. And then if you get, if you go to Reeves, he's got some, you know, like, I think it's 20% off he gives if you're a student of mine.
That's awesome.
Are any of them permanent?
So are you.
Are they permanent?
Permanent?
Did someone ask, is this
I
ink
did. I
permanent?
did, it's Pat. I asked if any of them are permanent, any of the ink permanent.
Yes, so these, well, gee, if Boyd is still here, Boyd can tell you, he works at Blick. And so many of these are permanent.
They are.
Calligraphers who are addressing envelopes and making documents have to have permanence in their inks. And so they use liquid acrylics. So you should always look on the bottle to see if it says permanent and waterproof. These are not. I don't believe these are. I think they're pretty watercolory. Let me
No.
check.
They're not permanent.
No, I don't think so because it's so thin.
If it's permanent, it clogs the whole system up.
There you go. Brienne is my top student. Gold stars, Brienne.
Helen, I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the best paper weight to use?
So it depends on what your purpose is. If you're practicing, I just say use copy paper because otherwise it's going to be too expensive to use parchment paper. You know, parchment is expensive. The other thing you can do is you can use laser jet paper, like you get at Staples. It's a little finer. But if you're going to be doing something with permanence, I would get good paper. And that would be parchment. What?
Yeah, they're on the dining room table, but I'll put them on. Just leave them in the kitchen.
Okay.
I do put it on the kitchen table and I'll put it on for you.
Okay. Were you asking a question?
I said I have it. What is it? How do you know he's going to
So
be
vulnerable, right, guys?
That's
It's
what I'm
this whole
watching.
thing.
Helen, one more question from
Right,
Marie.
I'm done. She
Yes.
has for a demonstration class. Yeah.
The ink, the FW ink was something in Rowney? I don't remember the name.
Dollar, D-A-L-E-R.
Dollar in Rowney. Thank you.
But there are so many inks you can, guys, go to Blick. Well, you can't go to Blick. Look online and be dazzled. There are so many inks that you can experiment with, and they're not really expensive, $5, $6 a bottle, and play, right? Just play with them. It's the joy of it. I just wish I could give you instructions, because one of the things, if you don't have a teacher at your elbow, right, someone just said Blick has a website. They do. Blick has a website. Thank you. Thank you, Susan. If you don't have a teacher who's standing there saying, no, turn your hand like this. No, don't, it's not up here, it's down here. Your rate of success is limited. Your letter forms may look weird and you may go, why? Why isn't this working? I'm looking exactly at the chart where they're showing me how to make these marks. You just need a teacher. And you don't need a lot of teacher. You just need someone to point these things out to you. I mean, you don't have to be like in classes for years. You know, with watercolor, it's a journey. Drawing, it's a journey. But with the lettering arts, it's technical. And once you get the technical stuff down and you get that foundation, you're good. Any other questions?
Helen, I have to go. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Ellen, I have another question.
Yes.
Is there a trick to keeping a lot of ink in the pen? Because it seems like you get a whole word or almost a whole word, and I can get 2 letters.
So Diana, that's you, right?
Yes.
Yes, I could tell your voice and I could tell by the question. So Diana, I don't know what ink you're using, but this blue ink, I was moving, and the black ink as well, because they're a thinner ink.
Okay.
And the thin inks, I fill up the reservoir. Remember, we always talk about, it's got that little,
yes, the hole.
You have to make sure you get it past the hole, so this whole part fills.
Right.
See that this whole part should be filled, but then you have to wipe this back part off.
Right.
Otherwise you get blobs here.
Oh, is that what you do?
Right.
So
Okay.
you know what? We're gonna have to have like a safe distance meeting where I can teach. I gotta figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out.
I'm sure you will. Thank you.
You're
try
very
maybe-
welcome. Thanks for
maybe
coming,
the ink.
Diana. Your work is stunning.
Oh, thank you
Stunning.
so much. Thank you
You're very
for all
welcome.
you're doing.
Thanks for coming.
Have a great day.
You too.
Helen, Michelle,
Yes.
quick question.
Yes,
I
Michelle.
have in a drawer, because I can't resist pens. They're like my downfall.
I get
And
it.
and ink. I have Winsor and Newton.
Yeah.
Can I use them?
Yeah.
Okay. They're just like little ink jars of Winsor and
Yeah.
Newton.
Fantastic. They're one of the originals. They're like forever. Yes.
I also have fountain pens, but you can't use a fountain pen the same way you can that, can
That's
you?
correct. And a fountain pen doesn't have the capability. Let me see if you can see it. See how
The
it
sharp
slips?
point?
It's bye, Terry. I love you. Thank you. See
That
how
it
it
splits open? Yeah.
Mhm. A fountain pen does not. It gives what's called a monoline, which is just a thin line, which is fine. But it's not going to give you what the beauty of calligraphy is the difference between thin and thick lines.
Mm.
Right.
Helen, this was great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, guys. It was just as great for me to be able to see your faces, to be able to hopefully give you a little respite, So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to you. Signing off and looking forward to your next classes.
Yep,
Yes.
I will keep you posted,
Me
guys.
too.
As
Me
I
too.
said,
Thank
for
you.
now,
Thank
it's
you
going
so
to be free, and it's going to be like this. I'm sorry about the auto correct thing, but I still think there's going to be a way we can work this out.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Kathleen, for coming.
Okay.
Thanks, Helen. Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Namaste.
Have a good day now.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Helen, thank you.
Bye.
This was amazing. I sent you a private message.
Okay, thank you.
Mwah. Love you.
Bye. Bye, Tanya.
Bye.
It's just like being a teacher in a class. Bye, guys. I just wish we were all together. I know we will be. I know we will be again.
Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. I'm just seeing who's left. Oh, we have 7
Helen, it's
people left.
me. I can't hang up. I can't figure it out.
So guys, if you want me to end the meeting, I can end it. Do you want me to end the meeting?
I'll just be standing here waiting for you to hang up.
Yeah, 'cause I can't
Vicky.
hang up.
Vicky, I'm going to end the meeting, guys, and it'll end. But I'll be in touch with all of you. And Vicky, congratulations on the baby.
Thank you.
You must be just so happy.
I am.
All right.
Thanks
All
for-
my best to all of you. Thank you again for coming. I'm ending the meeting.
I just found the mute button.
Yeah. You'll know for next time.
I'll know for next time. Okay, bye.
All right. Remember, guys, send me a friend request if you're on Facebook, because then you can get all this information that way.
Helen, you
Okay.
see my granddaughter over there?
Can I what? Wait a minute. Hang on. There, I can see. Bye.
Hi. The one who wrote that book. It was amazing. She just sat down and my daughter-in-law said, oh, Ella, she likes to do calligraphy. I said, oh, that's nice. I've been taking classes with this wonderful person. And then she just saw your book and she wrote it and she was quiet. And all of a sudden I saw this amazing stuff. And then I
Yes.
sent you to her. It's amazing.
Vicky, it was amazing.
Told you, Ella.
She has an eye. She has, it's a gift. When you have a gift that you can just look at something and replicate it, I was shocked. Yeah, I would love to have her as a student one day.
That would be nice. I wanted to bring her to Cold Spring Harbor when she was here, only they were here for a little time.
Yeah.
Christmas time. And now you got to see her and she's all the way in Walnut Creek, California.
Yeah. And that's the miracle. Please stay in touch. I can teach children and adults in this way. I'm maybe a month away for figuring it all out. How you put a curriculum on a piece of paper in front of a camera and talk people
You're doing
through.
great. You're doing great. Everything was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Thank you.
All you have to do to teach someone is just slow down, and there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you for telling me that. Yeah. Any feedback is welcome, because again, if I'm in a room, I'm good, but this, I'm like, there's a camera. I'm looking down and there's the autocorrect. There's my neighbor blowing his leaves.
We didn't hear the blow. We didn't hear that.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to
Are
know.
you doing any acting?
So I did do an adult acting class online. That was the first one I did. And what we did, we read Our Town, which was lovely. But let me tell you, my stress level, because of the technology, I couldn't take it. So then I just went away for 3 weeks to figure out how to put this art online. So I'll get back to the adult acting. But this is a challenge for me. I'm good at a lot of art stuff. This stuff, I'm like,
you got it. You got it down.
Thanks. I love you. Thanks, Vicki. I love you. I miss you.
Miss you too.
We'll all be back together soon.